Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to my Facebook Live, my YouTube channel, as well as my podcast. And welcome you guys out to another Daily Play with Coach Josh. If you're watching this on Facebook Live, do me a big favor and share this broadcast to as many people as you can. And feel free to comment below and let me know what you're getting from this message. Watching this on YouTube, and thank you guys so much for watching online, the Unplugger community there on YouTube. Once again, thank you guys so much for watching. If this is your first time or second or third time and you have yet to subscribe, feel free to subscribe. I would love to have you to be a part of my community online, as well as comment below and let me know what you're getting from this message and what you plan on applying going forward. But this message spawned from a snippet of service tonight at church, where we began to discuss the idea of management, and I kind of wanted to elaborate because as I was going home, this theme was wrestling inside of my spirit, and I want to make sure I give it to you guys to consider before pursuing more. I think the problem when it comes to the term "more than enough" is the perspective of it. That, when you was a baby, not baby, when you was a kid and your mom said that's more than enough for you, like me being a big boy as a kid, I always wanted a second and third plate. My mom, knowing that we needed food for the next day, the day after, she was letting me know that this, what I serve for you, is more than enough for you. Don't allow your mind to pursue more. And I think many of us as believers, we do that same thing. I think many of us, we live and think from a place of empty instead of from a place of plenty. When you think from a place of empty, that means you are your ideal main flow of source, or that I'm empty, that I need more love, I need more attention, I need more things, I need another car, another house, another this, and then you begin to live life off of empty. But those who are aware of who they are in Christ and know what it means to be in God knows that they always operate from a place of plenty. It doesn't matter how much I do have or don't have. I now operate from a plenteous place. I operate from an abundant place. I love the scripture in Proverbs 30, I believe verses 7 through 9. It talks about, you can almost hear the heart of the author when he began to say, God, don't make me poor or rich. Because if you make me too rich, I will leave you. That if you make me too poor, I will go steal. Either way, God is going to keep you in the middle. And many people look at their situations right now, and it could be you, where you feeling like this life is just not enough. But the term "more than enough" is more about a perspective than a position. Many people look at the position and say, I don't have enough. I don't have enough of this. And that's true. There are some things that you should desire to have more. But when you understand that possibly that God has you in this place for a reason, then you will begin to understand that I'm living life not off of what I don't have, but I'm operating, or I should operate my life of who I have. Who, not what. When you focus more on what, you're going to always have an empty kind of mindset, or I just don't feel happy. I don't feel like I have enough to sustain. But when you know who you are in God and you know that you have Him, you will begin to embrace Him in every day. That's why I love the idea that Christ is the bread of life and that Christ gives us daily bread. And you heard this in my other messages. But when you understand that He is the bread of life, that He is my full nourishment, that from Him and my connection and what He did for me, I now have access to the Father, which will enable me to do any and everything that I am not in my own ability capable of. But when you are completely oblivious to what you have or who you have, you will begin to look at what you don't have. Listen, if you always live life thinking about what you don't have, you will always ignore the person that you do have. Because of God, because of Jesus being my bread of life, that when Jesus was talking to the woman at the well, He was like, if you drink of me, you will never be thirsty again. That she began to leave her jar, that what she brought to the well, that would be her utensil to fill her up with water, she no longer needed once she understood that before her was the cistern, the pool of life, that when she drink of Him, she'll never thirst again. And that's what we have to understand, that when I eat of and drink of and embrace and deeper into who Jesus is, I will have more than enough that I need. But when you get so caught up in the world's way of thinking, the world's way of living, you begin to think that you don't have enough. But because I have Him, based upon His sovereignty, based upon His grace, based upon His love, I can then have access to everything that I need today. God didn't promise you weekly bread, monthly bread, or yearly bread. He just promised you daily bread. And he says, if you just let me lead you, you'll begin to understand in time just why you do not have everything that you feel will make life more than enough for this moment. So I have these quick points. I said more than enough is a perspective. It's not about a position. More than enough means that with God, I have more than enough. I have everything that I need for this moment. That if anything that's not in my life right now, that I don't have to worry about woe is me or why I don't have. I just got to make sure I always acknowledge the Father in all the decisions that I make, because I know for a fact that if he wanted me to have it, it would be in my life. And if it is not good for me, that's why you always got to be in a place where you are okay with saying, God, whatever is not for me, I don't want it. Don't pray that prayer if you're not ready for the repercussions of that prayer. Because many people pray that prayer, God, I only want what you have for me. And then what you really want from the core of your heart doesn't come, you're upset. Now, I have 3 things that your more is for. Many people are pursuing more selfishly, not selflessly. They're pursuing more so they can feed their ego, so they can mask their insecurities. They're pursuing more because they feel like where they are is not beneficial. Now, in life, you will obtain more based upon stewardship, etc. But your more has to have the right perspective. Many people's more, they think is for them to store for me. That my more is for me to store for me. But your more is not for just you to store for you, but the abundance of your life, the more from your life, everything that you execute out of is meant for these 3 things: the core, the soar, and the pour. Your more is meant for the core salvation of people. That whatever I make in abundance of my life, abundance of energy, the abundance of time, the abundance of money, is not for me to store it just for me and my core, which is nothing wrong with that. But you got to make sure you have the right perspective that my mission on this life is not just about me, but my mission for life is for the core salvation of others. When you don't have that perspective, then that more, then the abundance and the more that you have in your life will be about you. Now you have 3 cars instead of 1. Now you have 4 homes instead of 1. And when you get so caught up in the more mentality, you forget about the core of people's souls. My more is not just for me to store for me alone. My more is for the core salvation of the people that are up under my umbrella of influence. My more is also for the soar. And let me put poor before soar. My more is for the poor. That they listen, listen. That's why let me be honest and be transparent, man. I love cars, man. And I want a Bentley truck. Can I be honest? Coach wants a Bentley truck. And back in the day before the Bentley trucks were even made, I just love cars. And God gripped my heart one day because cars and homes and success was what I was pursuing more than the mission that he wanted me to have. And God said, man, listen. You can purchase whatever car you want as far as expense. You can purchase that Bentley truck. You can purchase all of these things after you have solved the poverty issue in your city. That perspective changed everything. It's like before you even consider a Bentley truck that a Honda Accord can do, or a Durango could do, or this car can do, they both do the same things. But this car gives you a little bit more status. This car gives you a better look as far as image. Before you even think about getting this, you can get it, son. But after you solve the problems in our world, and that began to change my mind. It says, what you do to the least of these, you have done it to me. That if you don't clothe the naked, if you don't feed the hungry, if you don't give water to the thirsty, if you don't turn a cheek, if you don't go 2 miles and give your cloak, if you don't think about the poor, then you ain't thinking of me. Jesus talked about that there would be a feast and that there would be people who would deny coming into my feast because they were too busy. But Jesus then began to articulate the imagery of that he began to go up under the bridges. He began to get the poor because the poor needs a physician. And many people get so caught up on their more being on them to store for themselves so they'll no longer have to feel poverty. But your more should be focused on the core salvation of others and the poor. What's the purpose of having 3 or 4 cars when you know a mom of 6 need a car? What's the purpose of having such a big home with 15 rooms if you're not trying to house the homeless? Listen, it's better for you to have little and be selfish than to have much and being selfish. It's better to have 1 bedroom with your selfish attitude because you be like, listen, at least you can say, I don't have room in the inn. versus having 17 rooms, knowing there's a homelessness issue in your city. You have all this money, instead of investing it back into teaching people how to fish that really want to, but you only accumulate it for yourself, then that more is not enough. Your more is not only for you to store for yourself. And so it's okay to store things for yourself. Listen, you live an abundant life, live a great life. But like what our pastor was talking about, that you got to have the right perspective. And many of us, our more is just for our store, to store it for ourselves. But our more, the more that we make from our life, from a place of enough, because let's articulate the place of enough. Right now in God, I have everything that I need. I have enough. Anything beyond enough is my more. God is looking at a lot of our situations saying, you have more than enough to sustain you. But God, I want more. You have more than enough to sustain you. But God, I want this. You already got one. God, I want that. God said, I'm your enough. And when you know that I'm your enough, then you will be able to manage the more. You won't be able to manage the more in your life until you have already made God your enough. When God is enough, then he'll trust you with more. And then with that more, he knows that you would do whatever it takes to utilize your influence, your entrepreneurial skills, your business skills, your ministry ability for the core salvation of others, for the poor, those who are in need, and for the sore. Why did I put sore? There's a lot of people in ministry, there's a lot of people who's doing well and they're sore from their labor. You have enough energy, you have enough time to help your pastor, your local church, your local body that are sore from working. You could be able to hold up their arms. You'll be able to help them. That more than enough is not just about money. It's not just about economics. It's about energy. It's about ability. It's about saying, who can I serve with my talent, with my gifts? And I don't even have to be asked to be paid for. There's nothing wrong with being paid for your services, but volunteering so that the people who are working beyond what they need to won't have to be sore alone. Your enough, your more is for the core salvation of others. It's for the poor, those who are without, and it's for the sore, those who need help. Now, here are the 6 things you must consider before pursuing more. Listen, God loves you. He wants you to have and what I mean by an amazing life, I'm not talking about an amazing life externally. He just wants you to have such contentment in him. I believe the cause to this problem is our desire to be happy. Not our desire to be joyful, not our desire to be content. It's our desire to be happy. We're just not happy. And from that place of discontentment, and from that place of unhappiness, we begin to say, you know what? Life would be better if I had another car. Life would be better if I had more money. And God will always make you look in your heart and ask your heart, why do you need it? And I'm posing a question to you too. Why do you need more? Why? Now, if you're more is you're losing because of poor discipline, then you got to maneuver and alter your things. But what you got to also understand is that, listen, until I solve the problem, then I can solve myself. And what I mean by that is, before I add 3 homes to my life, 4 cars to my life, more this and more that, I have to consider these 6 things. Before you pursue more, number 1, you have to consider your ministry. Your ministry. But Josh, I'm not a preacher. Now, I ain't talking about ministry. I'm not talking about office of ministry. I'm talking about your ministry to God. My first place of ministry is not to myself. It's not to my family. It's not to the people I serve. My first ministry is to God. How do you minister to him? Will the more keep you from ministering to him? Why do you think God doesn't promote us like we think he should? Why do you think, and I tell God all the time, listen, don't give me anything that will separate me from you. Don't give me anything that will separate my ministry unto you. And you have to ask yourself the things that are around you. What are the things that are around you that's keeping you from ministering unto the Lord? Ministering unto the Lord. That's why when I preach, I don't preach for the applause anymore like I used to. I don't preach to get a bunch of people in the room anymore. I preach to make sure that my Father is glorified, to make sure that he's better understood, to make sure there's a deeper connection between him and his children. That's my ministry. And many people are ministering to themselves and other people, but are not ministering to God. And when you understand that I do not want anything in my life that's going to keep me from being focused and disciplined and serving my Father, I don't want it. But so many people have so much in their life that's keeping them from prayer, that's keeping them from fasting, that's keeping them from seeking God, that's keeping them from solving the core problems of their people, that's keeping them from helping the sore, it's keeping them from helping the poor. And if you haven't helped the poor recently, if you haven't utilized your influence to allow the core of a man to be, or core of a woman to be connected to God, and if you're not helping serve the sore, then probably you are not ministering unto God like you need to. And we're all got to do better. Some of us are too busy and not too productive. It's a difference. Busyness is I'm just doing a bunch of stuff to keep me away from thinking. I'm just filling my life up to keep me from addressing certain things. I'm just doing a bunch of things hoping that I can become successful. No, you got to be productive. God, what is my assignment? What do you want me to do to you? That when I report back to my home, I know that I spent my day serving you. And I served you with my life. I served you with my lips. I served you with my eyes. I served you with my hands. I served you faithfully. I ministered unto you. Yes, sir. Yes, Father. Here am I. Send me. Here, Father. Your servant heareth. What do you want me to do? Listen, before you pursue more, ask yourself, is the more that you're pursuing going to keep you from being more of a servant to God? Number two, before you pursue more, you got to consult your mission. Some people don't even have a mission. Your mission has to be rooted in the commission, which is to go into the world, preach the gospel, make disciples. To the mission, go out and make disciples. That you don't gotta legitimately have a church to make disciples. No, you're just a light that when people inquire about your light, you make time, you make availability to serve them. But so many people don't even know what their mission is. If your mission is meant to do something at a certain tier, then God ain't going to give you more than what that tier requires. Because he knows the more that I give you above the tier that is required for you to execute at that level, you will probably get into enticement and lose your focus on what you're supposed to do. What is your mission? My mission is to build people, build relationships, and build communities. That's my mission. Anything that does not go into that mission, I don't want it. My mission as a person is to become all things to all men, that I might win some, that I work on my people skills, that I understand different people groups, because I want to be of a greater service to God. What is your mission? Do you even have a personal mission statement? What is your mission in life? I am here to do blank for who? That's your mission statement. I exist, I live, I am here to serve these individuals for the sole purpose of blank. Or my mission is to utilize products, skills, whatever. My goal is to utilize these 3 or 4 things to help this specific people group to excel at this specific area. What is your mission? Because we don't know a mission, you just always be wanting things for your life. Because when you have a mission, you'll know that's too much for me to have right now. I don't need that because my mission requires me here. Or I need more of that. So let me position my mission in a position where I can be able to acquire more to fulfill what God wants me to do. What is your mission statement? So many people, so many believers are wanderers versus specific achievers. And you got to make sure that you say, Father, what is my mission? What do you have for me to do? Not only in the broad scheme, but in the specific strategies, the specific moments of life. When you don't minister to God, you won't know your mission. And if you don't know your mission, you won't be able to consult your motives. Before you pursue more, you have to consider your motives. Why do you want it? The number one question that I answer a person's questions with is the word why. When a person asks me, what do you think about this? Or what do you think about me having this? What do you think about me pursuing this? I always ask them the question, why? Why do you want it? We don't want to ask why because we don't want to consult our hearts. Listen, why do you want a husband? Why do you want a wife? Why do you want children? Why do you want a promotion? Why do you want $1 million? Why do you want a Bentley truck? Why do you want a Lambo? Why? What's the mission? What's the mission behind your motives? If you get it, what you gonna do with it? It's crazy how many people got $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 cars in their garage that can't do nothing for anybody. Why am I going to allow $300,000 to sit in a driveway and I only drive it on Saturdays and Sundays with the top back so I can look like I've accomplished something in life? What that $300,000 can build, how many shelters in your city? What can that money be used for? And you utilizing that money for a car, you got a home with 25 rooms, but there's only 4 people living there. We got to change our perspective and ask ourselves, why do I even want it? And when you begin to answer the question, why you want it, you'll see what's in your heart. That if I ask the question why, I will know the what in my heart. Listen, why do you want a wife and you ain't a husband yet? Why do you want a husband and you ain't a wife yet? God is saying you can settle for a man, you can settle for a woman, but I ain't going to send you nobody. Because why would God send you anything that's going to contradict his character? God is not going to send you anything that's going to contradict his character and what's been written in his word. God is not going to give you anything when he knows for a fact you can't manage it. So he's asking you, why do you even want it? So what people do is, God, you taking too long. I'm going to go about and be about my own business. And you go out there and get it. And then you suffer the consequences of chasing something that wasn't designed for you to have at that moment. And so many people overlook the question why. And then when they actually get what they really wanted, they begin to sink deeper into a depraved state, sink deeper into depression, sink deeper into their issues. And they're like, then they want to ask God for help. God will give you clearance to go and chase whatever you want. God is a God of honor. He'll let you go do whatever you want. But before I make decisions now, I always ask myself why. Why do you want that apple fritter, Josh? Why do you want a chili cheese dog, Josh? Are you emotionally eating? Why do you want more people in your ministry? Why? And I used to get mad at God in my early stage of ministry. I'd be like, God, man, there's not so many people coming. In ministry, God said it doesn't matter how many people. It's crazy how many preachers preach to the people that's not there versus serving the people who actually there. We get so caught up on the more people. Why do you want more people, minister? Why do you want more influence, minister? Why would God give you more influence? We don't even know how to articulate the gospel yourself. Why would God give you more people to steward if you can't live the gospel in your own life? Why? And when you understand it, you be like, God, thank you for not answering my prayers. Well, I'm thankful that God hasn't given me a lot of people to steward because he knows I'm in a transitional period. And when you have the right perspective of where you are positioned, then you won't be petitioning for a lot of things to be placed in your life because you know for a fact, God, I can't manage that right now. So before I pursue more, I got to first ask myself, how am I ministering to God? Next, I got to ask myself, what is my mission in my life? After I ask my mission, then I got to check my motives. Why do I even want it? And after I check my motives, I got to check my maturity. Am I mature enough to handle this? Every blessing is a burden. Every blessing is a burden. More money, more problems. More people, more problems. More success, more problems. The lower you are, the less problems you have to manage. That's why you think they don't pay people based upon the strenuousness of work. They pay people based upon the stewardship of work. You see people that break rocks and they do construction work and you like, man, they should get paid more because they're out there in the hot sun. They're out there working their hands to the bone, right? But the person who's in the top office up here gets paid more. Why do they get paid more than the people that work at the low level? Because at the low level, it's not that much responsibility. If you break a rock, cool. What's the worst thing that can happen? But if you are a steward over 70 employees and you're a steward over capital and stuff like that, the more responsibility, the more burden, the more you have to work. They clock in, clock out, but that person may work 20 or 40 extra hours more than a person that works 40. I know that because I run my own business in ministry. I know that people who think that they can do what I do, you got to be able to manage everything that comes with it. And not too many people are mature enough to handle the weight of it. And and you wonder why that you're so broken under the blessing. Listen, if you're breaking under the blessing, then that blessing wasn't sent by God. God will build you before he placed the blessings on you. Listen. That'll preach right there. Before God places a blessing on you, because the blessing has a burden, he builds you up into maturity. So when he places the burden of his heart on you, then you will be able to hold it because you've been built to be up under it. Listen, I don't want more people because that's more insurance. That's more responsibility. That's more. I don't want, listen, there were people talking about people who got 25, 50,000 square foot homes, 2.5 point something $1 million homes. They got the ability for the payment. But my next M, they don't have the money for the maintenance. God doesn't care about you acquiring things. He wants to know, can you hold the thing? Man, right now, it doesn't matter if I have the money to buy a Bentley truck. It doesn't matter if I have the money to buy a multi-million-dollar home. That don't mean nothing. Do you have the money to sustain the maintenance of it? God cares about maintenance. He cares about, if I give you this wife, are you strong enough to hold her through her emotional moments? Are you able to hold her through her concerns? Are you a listener? Are you engaged? Are you intrigued by her? Are you still in love? Are you able to hold her? Oh, you want a husband, but you don't want to be able to hold him and nurture him and sustain him and lift up his arms. See, God doesn't care about giving you something. He gives you with the idea of understanding, is this person able to maintain it? If you can't sustain it and if you can't maintain it, he doesn't allow you to gain access to it. It's that simple. Before you pursue more, you got to ask yourself, how do I minister to God? What is my mission? What is my motives? Am I mature enough to handle the burden? And do I have enough to pay the maintenance? That is key. So many people, they got just enough to get by the wedding day. Just enough to get by the promotion. But they don't have anything in the tank. They don't have enough character, integrity, and self-control in the tank to get them beyond the moments. People care about moments, but people don't care about the management of the moments that moment spawns. Every moment sparks moments. That when I get married, that's going to spark the moments of marriage. And I got to be able to make sure that I'm able to manage not only the hugs and the kisses and the rewards and the love and the gift cards and wherever that we're registered from, and all that good stuff, all those blessings come. But when the people leave and there's 3 slices of cake left, which I'm taking home, will I be able to sustain her? That's the key. Last but not least, you have to consider, will you be able to maneuver? Some of us got so much in our lives that if we need to move, we can't maneuver. You got to be resilient. You got to be quick. You got to be able to, at once moments, to pack up everything and go. We're living in the last days. It's hard to move when you got 4 mortgages. It's hard to move when you got 5 cars. It's hard to move when you got more. Your store bins are full. You got all this, and the parable talks about that you built bigger barns, but your soul's required of you right now. And God is like, you done built bigger barns for you so that you can have all these things of luxury, but your soul is required of you right now. And God is saying, what is the state of your soul? What are you doing with your life right now? Stop pursuing more and pursue who he is. Pursue the core salvation of people. Pursue the poor and what they need. Pursue the sore ministry workers who are out here advancing the kingdom. Focus on that, because when you begin to focus on these different things and you have all this abundance, what happens when famine comes? What happens when a storm comes? What happens when a hurricane comes and you lose it all? What profits a man to gain this whole world but lose his own soul? Before you pursue more, ask yourself, how's my ministry unto God? What's my mission for my life? What are my motives? Am I mature enough to handle this? Not only am I mature, do I have the stewardship intelligence to be able to maintain this thing? And if anything was to happen, am I too spread out to move, to maneuver throughout life? God does not want us to focus on money, opportunities, and success. Because what does that prove anyway? Why get so consumed with building in a temporal place? God does not want us to build the bulk of our lives here. You know, I always tell people that it doesn't matter how my checking account down here looks. It doesn't matter how my homes look down here. It doesn't matter what my car may look down here. It doesn't matter what looks down here. Because when I die, when I get to heaven, I want God to be able to say, because of your faithfulness, because of your stewardship, look at what your life acquired up here. Which kingdom, which realm are you investing in? When you invest in this world's realm, that's all you have. But if you live in this life as a pilgrim like you should, passing through, then when you actually pass from this life to the next, you will begin to see the dividends. You begin to see the return on the investment. That's why I don't focus on what I have down here. Because when I build my life on God down here, then whatever I have stored up there will be greater than what I stored down here. I pray this message was a challenge for you to look at your heart. Before you pursue more, check what's behind your pursuit. Because God cares about why you pursue what you pursue. Thank you guys so much for watching. I pray this message was a blessing. I got a play for you. I want you to write down all these M's. I know y'all want a bunch of M's, but I got these M's are more precious than the M's that you want in your bank account. I'm just joking. There ain't nothing wrong with being rich. There's nothing wrong with being successful. But true success is not in your purse or your wallet or your pocket or what you have in stewardship in your life. True success is in perspective. When you have the right perspective, God will trust you with more. Because God knows that you a distribution channel, not a hoarder. God is not going to give anything to people who hoard for themselves. He gives to people who knows that what was given to them don't even belong to them. And if you ask for a Bentley truck, then God is always going to test you at the thing that you hold on to the most. If whatever you got in your fist that you do not want to let go, or the thing that you have before your eyes that you're pursuing, God is going to always test that first. You got that car, and then God's going to be like, I need you to give that car to that young man. I need you to give your car to young woman. Could you give away what was given to you? Anything that you cannot give away freely that's been given to you, you have too much of a tight grip on. If you are dead set on something and nothing can change you from it, then that thing is your idol. Listen, there's no point in gaining this whole world and losing your soul. Got this play for you. Daily Plays with Coach Josh. Number one, I want you to write down, what is your ministry to God? Not your ministry to yourself, not your ministry to somebody. What is your ministry to God? How do you serve God? I want you to write down under ministry. I want you to write down, this is how I'm going to minister to God going forward, or this is how I minister to God now. And you got to begin. I want you to write up under there, what is hindering you from ministering to God faithfully? Next, I want you to develop a mission statement. It's going to be a long exercise. This may take you a couple of weeks or a month to do. I want you to write down your mission statement. I want you to write down, I am here to do, for who, so that. I'm here to build people, build relationships, build communities so that people can be presented to God prepared. That's my mission. My mission is to build people, build relationships, build communities. My mission is also to be like John the Baptist. What his quote was is to present to God prepared. So everything that I do is when a person comes to me, my goal is to build them. That's why when people come to me, they know that I'm going to, what's your purpose? What you want to do? I'm building you. Let's go. Relationships come to me, couples, whether it's husband, wife, whether it's daughter and mom. My goal is to build that relationship unit where they'll be able to thrive. Communities. My goal is to develop systems into communities to ensure the communities flow and thrive. And my goal as a teacher is to present to God a people prepared. That's my mission. That my goal is not to present to people to puff my ego, but my goal is, if you come to anything that I do, my goal is to present to you, here God, they're prepared for you now. Go use them. That's my mission. And that's what you need to write. What are you here to do? What is your mission statement? Next, I want you to write down the things that you want in life, and I want you to ask yourself simply the question why. If you're a single woman, a single man, and you want a husband or wife, ask why. And I want you to write down everything that you want in life. There's nothing wrong with wanting things, but the real core thing is, why do you want them? So I want you to write down these next 3 points. These next 3 points I want you to write down up under those lists. Write down that big, long list of everything you want. I want a husband. I want a wife. I want this job. I want this promotion. I want this car. I want this. And I want you to simply write down up beside each of those things, why do I want this? Am I currently mature enough to have this? Can I handle the maintenance of this? And is this thing too big for me to maneuver in case a crisis comes? Simply put, what's the reason why I want a wife? What's the reason why you want a husband? What's the reasons why? Ask yourself, am I mature enough to handle this? I also want you to write down what is the maintenance that's required to actually manage that, and is it too big for me to maneuver? Replay that segment over again. I know because I just came up with this today, so I just kind of threw it at you. But I pray that when you process through these things, you will be able to say, God, I have more than enough, not in what I have, but in who I have, who is you. Love you guys. Watching on Facebook Live, you're watching on YouTube, listening, you can always go to iamunplugged.com to learn more about what I do. You can give there, you can get involved, you can get me out to your city. There's a lot of, you can get resources there. You get the books, you can get the card games, all that good stuff. I'm trying to think, I do coaching sessions. If you're looking to be coached, you want some one-on-one coach, you can ask for a quote today at mycoachjosh.com. If you're watching on YouTube, the links are at the bottom. Comment in this video. If you're watching a replay, share this out to as many people as you can. Comment below and where you plan on, or just what you got from this, both on YouTube and on Facebook. Just comment. I would love to see what you got from it, what you're going to apply. Let me know a week from now what you got from the exercise. If you're listening on Google Play, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, comment there too. If you're on Apple and Google Play, feel free to comment, leave a review. Let us know what you think about all the stuff that we're doing. Love you guys. Y'all be blessed. Y'all be safe. If you're in North Carolina, South Carolina area, on the East Coast, be safe, be wise, be led. Love you guys. Peace.